Hello everybody, this is Mahadev the Thunder Wizard, and I'm going to try and do a shorter video talking about my views about some of this alien material people keep asking me about. By the way, it drives me crazy when people do this. It's called triangulation. It's a very childish thing. It's passive aggressive. It's all kinds of things. But, you know, knowledge is knowledge, so I'm happy to look at some of it because I personally want to know. There's experts out there on this experience I'm having. I want to learn from them. So I'm going to give you my opinion on a few different people. I'm going to give you my opinion on Bashar. He channels an alien. I'm going to talk about Dolores Cannon. I'm going to talk about Ashayana Deane. And I'm going to talk about the Law of One. People have been asking me about this. It's bugging me. There are comments that are coming up in the videos. I'll say something in my video and they'll say, well, Ashayana Deane says, or, but Dolores Cannon says this. You should check out Dolores Cannon. All right. So first off, I don't like those kinds of comments. Again, it's called triangulation. Mom says you need to, it's triangulation. It's childish. It's passive aggressive. I don't like it. Having said that, let's get on with it. So I'm going to start with the Law of One. So people keep touting this Law of One like it means something. Now, I didn't know what it was. Just the word Law of One sounds good. The law of unity, that we all come from a collective consciousness that's full of love and light, which we can call God. I like that. That's a very empowering thing. So in terms of whatever the Law of One, if it lines up with that, I like that. But people were talking about it so I went and checked it out. Just let me get to the crux of it. It's pure nonsense. Drop it. It's a victim mentality creation. There's so many things about it. I could go into depth, but I don't want to take too much time. So let me just talk about a couple of things. First off, anybody that you listen to, whether it's Dolores Cannon, Ashayana Deane, Law of One, me, Bashar, anyone else, I don't care who it is, if they do not support an individuated self, run away from them. Individuation, the short answer is, nothing is more powerful than what is inside of you. You need nothing outside of you to validate you. So the idea that somebody has all the truth and you don't devalues you. Any teacher that says, I am the authority, listen to me, is devaluing to you. Your need to chase after people who are the truth, who also, as it turns out, also create some kind of victim mentality, is devaluing to you. So anybody that has any victim mentality, run away from it. Anybody that talks about evil aliens, talks about evil archons, talks about an Earth alliance with good aliens and bad aliens, anybody that says you have to be careful because you're going to tap into evil this or that, drop all of that. Especially if somebody gives you the feeling, follow what I say because I'm going to give you the knowledge to know how to avoid the traps of the evil people. Walk away from those people. They are devaluing you, they are filling you with fear, and they're co-signing your fear. All right? So walk away from that. All right, so the Law of One. Also, the next thing is anything that creates any kind of codependence. Walk away from that. Here's something from the Law of One I just pulled up. So, according to the Law of One, there's a duality between service to self and service to others. And apparently from the channel herself, she says that Ra, these beings, these extraterrestrial beings, say that if you give 51% or more of your energy to service to others, then you will be available to upgrade to the next level. Pure, utter nonsense. That is called codependence. There is no difference between service to self and service to others. She makes in this, this is a video of her. She makes this example where she says, for example, let's say I have a peanut butter sandwich, and I'm sitting around and I eat the peanut butter sandwich myself. Well, that's service to self. Then you've got somebody who takes half of the sandwich and gives it to the homeless or the hungry and eats the other half for themselves. They're doing half service to self, half service to others. And then she says, then somebody who's like Jesus comes along and he gives the whole sandwich to somebody else. Then she goes on to say, so anybody who is 51% service to others, that person is now open to graduate to the next level. And all she's done is she's described codependence. Because there is no such thing as a difference between service to self and service to others. This was the first thing that I learned from the Ascended Masters. The one thing the Ascended Masters will do, which is the extraterrestrials, which is the higher dimensional beings, which is the aliens, which is the ETs, which is the elves, which is the bodhisattvas, which is the ancestral teachers. They all say the same thing, which is, this is how this damages you and damages everybody else. Or this is how this empowers you and this empowers everybody else. Or this is how, by empowering others, you empower yourself. Or this is how you destroy yourself by giving away too much of yourself to other people. Codependence is destructive, but it is first and foremost, in your experience, destructive to you. So anything that is destructive to you is destructive to other people. If you're starving to death and you choose to starve, you give your sandwich away to somebody else, that's not helping them. If, an alcoholic is in the street and he's lying in his own filth and he says, can I stay at your house? And you say yes, and you take him in and you wash him up and you give him some money and he goes out and gets drunk again, guess what? And he dies. It means you killed him out of your service to self. But if you know that it's going to be damaging for you to take this untreated alcoholic person into your home, you know that's going to be damaging to you, and you do it out of a sense of service to others, that's called codependence. So this is nonsense. Right off the bat, that right there tells me the law of one is complete nonsense. I could go into all of the other bit. I tried reading it. First I tried listening to it and I couldn't get past it because it takes so long from one word. So I got bored with that. And then I just went straight to the written transcripts, and it was so over-intellectualized. Those of you who like the law of one, and you think that a higher being is that incapable of communicating to another person in a language that they can understand, you think that that's spiritual, that's devaluing of you. The message is, this being is so advanced that I can't understand what they're saying. No, you can't understand what they're saying because it's nonsense. And that's the whole point. Somebody who wants to get attention from other people, they don't think that they have the value to do it themselves. So they say, I'm going to channel some higher dimensional being. And that's what's going to give me the attention. And then that higher dimensional being, as it channels through you, it doesn't make any sense. It talks down to you. You can't, just to give you one example, I'll just read just one paragraph from the law of one. Let's start with the law of one, session 5. So this is a transcript. I'm just going to read one paragraph, and you'll see how ridiculously nonsensical it is. Bear in mind, the way that a narcissist wants you to get your attention is to, number one, make themselves superior to you. So by saying, I'm channeling some blah, 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 and I'm the special channel, right there they've made themselves superior to you. You devalue yourself by then saying, I'm going to believe whatever this says. They're the channel. They're the prophet. The next thing is to fill it with half-truths, gobbledygook, and entrain you, literally put you into a state of hypnosis by saying a bunch of nonsense interspersed with things that will sound good to you. And that will keep your attention long enough to go, wow, this is so deep, I don't understand most of it, but I'm going to keep listening. And that's what you're going to see here. Questioner, we have decided to accept, if offered, the honor duty of learning, teaching the healing process. I would ask, as to the first step, which we should accomplish in becoming effective healers. Right there, the question is already convoluted and intellectual. You can just ask, what should we do to become healers? Ra. I am Ra. So that's another one. The ego of I am God, I am Ra, listen to me. Right there, that's a problem. I am Ra. We shall begin with the first of three teachings, learnings. So they can't, this being can't even speak. The learning, the three learnings, that's not accurate English pronunciation. It's just ridiculous. We begin with the mental learned teachings necessary for contact with intelligent infinity. Does any of that make any sense to you? The prerequisite of mental work is the ability to retain silence of self at a steady state when required by the self. The mind must be opened like a door. The key is silence. Within the door lies an hierarchical construction you may liken unto geography and in some ways geometry, for the hierarchy is quite regular, bearing inner relationships. To begin to master the concept of mental discipline, it is necessary to examine the self. The polarity of your dimension must be internal. It's all a bunch of gobbledygook. It's all a bunch of double talk and nonsense that sounds intelligent and ends up saying nothing. It takes a huge amount of time and can't get to the point. All right, so there's the law of one. Bunch of nonsense, drop it. Ashayana Deane, I'll just get to her as quickly as possible. Heavily influenced on evil alien races. So anytime you've got an evil alien race that you have to be an alien wars and this and that, drop that. It's victim mentality stuff. Get rid of it. Dolores Cannon. First and foremost, the thing I don't like about Dolores Cannon, which somebody pointed out, is that Dolores Cannon said there was going to be some kind of shift or event or something like that, which I found interesting because I want to know if that turns out to be true or not. But she said that like the Christian rapture, which is incredibly devaluing, she said that some people will make it and some people won't. Right there. I mean, that is a victim mentality thing. Any higher race that wants to come and is going to take some people and not others because they're not good enough for some other reason, that's might as well be worshiping Jesus, because that's the same thing he taught, heaven and hell. I don't buy it for half a second. It actually offends and infuriates me that people conflate that with something spiritual. How is it that the first time you didn't hear that, you went, well, I don't like that. I don't want to exclude anybody. I mean, if you're going to give amnesty, you might as well give it to everybody. The other thing I saw about Dolores Cannon, which made me think that she wasn't a reliable source, two things. Number one, she gets her information from people who are under hypnosis. People under hypnosis are notorious for conflating half-truths, getting some things right, projecting others. Just because she's got a bunch of people that she's taken into hypnotic regression doesn't mean that you take everything she says as being true. Maybe there's some good stuff came from it, maybe not, I don't know. But bottom line is, she also said something about cancer. She said, these aliens, they're really interested in this cancer thing, this disease that humans have. And they're trying to figure out what that is and why this, and that right off the bat, I said, she has no idea what she's talking about. Because there are healers that know how to heal cancer. It's real simple. Cancer is a result of self-directed negativity, period. End of discussion. It manifests in the body. So when you're able to love yourself and resolve your internal codependent attachments and anger, you will heal your cancer. So for her to think that the ETs can't figure this out, this is her projection. She's dead now. I don't know how she died, but she was old. And I bet she was probably worried that she was going to get cancer. And this was her fear. trying to figure out cancer. The ETs already know. They know that what cancer is because humans have already figured it out. So right there, I don't buy Dolores Cannon, victim mentality. And again, anybody who sets themselves up as I'm the soul under the blah, blah, blah. Bashar. So I've made some videos on Bashar. I like a lot of what Bashar says. However, do I think that Daryl Anka is channeling an alien named Bashar? No, I don't think that. I could be wrong, but I don't think that. I love what Bashar says about manifestation because it completely aligns with what I believe. He has his own way of saying it, but he says the same thing basically about following your soul desire. He talks about manifesting your reality from one moment to the next. I love all of that. Do I think that's coming from an alien? No, I think that's coming from Daryl Anka. I think Daryl Anka has a lot of really great knowledge and intuition. And, you know, playing the character of Bashar might allow him to let go of his false humility and his ego so that he can speak things that he personally wouldn't feel comfortable saying. Because then he can say, well, that's what Bashar says. I don't know. Bashar said it, not me. And, you know, I understand it. This is, again, pandering to people's lack of individuation, and it's a great way to make money. And, you know, listen, if there was a point in time back when, if I could have pulled it off, I would have done it. But I can't live with myself if I do it. And in fact, I've tried the channeling thing. I've given up on it because I found very quickly that I was conflating my own unconscious stuff with my own higher knowledge. And it also bothered me that people started wanting to hear more from Mahadeva, the Ascended Master, than me, which if I had done that, by the way, those of you that asked me to do that, if I kept doing that, I would have been responding to your desire for me to abuse you, because that's what that means. And it would have meant that I would have allowed myself to be abused by you because you diminished me because you didn't want to hear from me, the person. You wanted to hear from somebody else who was superior to me. And you would have been asking me to tell you the truth and, you know, manipulate you in a cultic sort of way. So that was another reason that I stopped doing it. All right. So the bottom line of all that stuff is people have been asking about the Law of One, Ashayana Deane, Dolores Cannon. The short answer is I think it's a bunch of nonsense. I'll say one last person before I go, which isn't exactly the same, but it's along this line of ufology nonsense, which is people who are agents of disinformation. And a very famous journalist who's been, you know, reporting on ufology for decades. I forget her name. She has three names to her name. Oh, gosh, why can't I remember her name? Anyway, you probably know who I'm talking about. But I'll give you an example of one of the things that she supposedly revealed. By the way, all of her information comes from ex-military. Right there, she buys into the idea that there is evil aliens and good aliens, and that there's an alliance of good aliens with our government that are going to fight a war against evil aliens. And that is a false flag operation, and she's an unwitting agent of disinformation. I believe that she believes what she's reporting, but she believes the people. She believes somebody comes to her because he's from the military and says, I'm a whistleblower. Oh yeah, there's evil aliens, and oh yeah, there's all this other stuff. And so they pretend to be giving out disclosure information when in reality they're just agents of disinformation. So anybody that teaches that there's a war among the aliens and that we need to side with the good aliens, that's the government telling you that alien conquest is coming and we need to militarily fight them. And they are going to, if given the opportunity, which hopefully they won't get to, because this flash will get here before they are able to do it. But the military is going to try and stage a false alien invasion with human-created technology. So when she starts talking about evil aliens and us aligning with the good aliens versus the evil aliens, she's getting you set up so that when the government says aliens are attacking, you need to let us have complete control over your life, you're going to go, oh my God, better you than the aliens. And she told a story which proves, because again, any alien abduction story that has to do with a human being abducted against their will, experimented on, in any way devalued, sexually abused, medically abused. This is human beings. These are human beings abducting and experimenting on humans. They have the ability, they have created android, alien-looking robots. They have the ability to have some kind of electromagnetic pulse which can send into your mind thoughts and feelings and visions. They have the ability to do that. So anytime you hear about any kind of alien interaction with something like that going on, what you're hearing is about human military experiments on human beings. And I'll give you an example. And this was under the guise of she's going to show the truth of the aliens that our government has had contact with the good aliens for such a long time. And she tells this story about from, again, being told from an ex-military guy. She tells this story about this private that they were experimenting on. They said, we're going to need you to interact with this alien. So they get this private, and the lieutenant or whoever it was that was in charge of this interaction is telling him, okay, they're telling him that we are working with aliens and this alien is going to interact with you, and we need to see what happens when he telepathically sends you his message. I mean, that's an experiment right there. But Linda Moulton Howe, that's who it is, she says, no, this is proof that we have this relationship with aliens, that our government has this relationship with aliens. And so she goes on to tell this story about how this interaction, this staged interaction took place among the military. And what the lieutenant said to the private was, okay, so this alien is going to come out of his craft and he is going to walk on the surface of the earth, but he's going to look really strange. He's going to look really awkward. And that's because in his planet, he normally prefers to levitate. So he's not used to Earth's gravity. So in order not to frighten you, he's going to walk on the ground, but he's going to look like a robot. But that's just because he's not used to not levitating. So right off the bat, are you telling me these beings, they're so advanced they can't walk? Really? So he says that, and then he says, so you're going to be very afraid because of how awkward this whole scenario is and the awkwardness of his walking. And then he's going to stop 2 paces in front of you. And then he is going to telepathically send a message to you. And then it's going to knock you out. The information is going to be too much. You will pass out and we will revive you. So this is, she's describing an experiment. And just be clear, the way she's describing the inability of these aliens to interact and communicate with other life forms is absolutely crazy. This shows you that she is lying to you. Or if she's not lying to you, whoever she got the information was lying to her. Or she's telling the truth that this was a human experiment on other humans pretending to be aliens. They were trying to see what would happen when they do this alien invasion. What will happen to the average person when they're confronted with these robots that have this technology to telepathically shove information into your brain. So sure enough, according to her, the story was that The alien came out of the ship looking like a robot, stopped in front of the poor unsuspecting private, and then telepathically sent a chunk of information that knocked him out, knocked him flat on his ass. And then days later, he woke up, almost killed him, and said that there was so much information that was downloaded, I could barely function. The complete, total lack of ability of these so-called aliens to do anything proves you that it's an experiment. And again, it creates fear in the listener. So my point is, don't listen to anybody, any channeler, any ET disclosure person, any journalist, any whistleblower. If anything they do creates fear in you of the aliens, fear of good aliens, bad aliens, anybody who does anything that devalues you, drop it. All right, so that's my answer to some of your questions about Law of One, Ashayana Deane, Dolores Cannon, Bashar. That's my answer to you. All right, see you guys later.